Hello, let's talk about Chapter 17, Facilitating Pre-Academic and Cognitive Learning. So we know that cognitive development and emerging literacy is reading, writing, listening, talking. Functionally illiterate are those who can't perform well in one of those areas, and large numbers of children are coming to school without the experiences needed to learn literacy skills. What are those experiences? Being talked to, being read to, being listened to, and responded to when they're talking. So, what is pre academics? This is everything that has to do with school. So, it's not just being able to do math or read, it is all of the things that kids are doing when they're in early childhood before they get to school. Learning how to learn really is what we're doing. We're teaching them to be curious and interested and to explore their worlds. Okay. um, Remember that infant brains are very active and they're developing all these synapses to learn things, right? Connections. um, we need to use our brains or we lose them, right? Our brain functions. And nature and nurture. And then early care has decisive and long lasting impact on children's brain development. So, in those first 5 years, the things that we do, the ways we talk to, the ways we listen to, the ways we respond to children, all of that is brain development stuff, which you should know by now, right? Um, Again, there are sensitive periods for learning, especially for language development in those first 5 years. It's very hard to develop language skills after that. Um, and experiences have effects, positive and negative, right? Occasionally, attentive intervention is necessary to lessen the effects of disabilities. So, as I've said before, you need to be reading the chapter in addition to this, right? Because I'm not covering everything that's in the book. Okay. So, are academic skills appropriate for preschoolers? Yes, but they need to learn academic school skills through play, through experience, right? Not by sitting down and writing on worksheets. That's just not appropriate. They don't have the cognitive ability to translate what they're learning on paper into the real world. So you want to do things in a way that brings the learning into their world, right? Okay. So how do we do this? What's appropriate for teaching academic skills to young children? Teaching a concept directly, talking about it. But when we're doing this, it can't be just like I'm teaching you right now, because that's not developmentally appropriate for children this age. So it's showing them examples, having them touch things, having them experience things. Okay. Um, Embedded learning is when you are learning things within the course of the day, right? So it's part of what you're doing throughout the day in your classroom. But you also have to be very direct about what are we doing, what are we learning, what are we um, working toward, what's our goal. Okay. Um, Again, what do? We look at a child and figure out how the best way to work with that child is, right? And then we do that. And then we figure out, did it work or not, right? So we're always planning, implementing, and then reflecting. Computers help children develop independent skills that they can't otherwise. So computers can be used with children with special needs in very specific ways, right? So they can help them develop hand-eye coordination. They can help them express themselves. So there's a lot of ways that computers can be used with all children, but specifically with children with special needs. But you have to be very careful and make sure that what they're doing is appropriate for them, that there's no way to get to content that's inappropriate. So if you're using some web based program, Is there a way for them to get out of it to find things that are not appropriate? You don't want that, right? What we really want to be doing in the first 3 to 5 years, or 0 to 5 years, with children is engaging their curiosity, their problem solving, their question asking. We want them to be eager, interested learners, because that sets the foundation for the learning that they're going to do later on, the real academic stuff. If you start and you are starting academics too early before children are ready, whether they're special needs children or typically developing children, and I should have said children with special needs, right? Um, if you're starting all of that too early, they develop and it's not fun and it's not interesting and it doesn't have a relation to their real world, then they're not going to want to do it, right? So what you need to do is be making sure that the ways that you are helping them learn are fun and interesting and engaging, and encourage them to explore and be interactive, because then they have that foundation of, oh, I like to learn, I like school, I like to do this stuff. So when they get to real academic stuff, they already know what to do and that they like it. All right. We are showing children how to record their thoughts, because this is a language and literacy development, right? Showing them the correlation between what you say and what you think and the words on the page. Make it real, make it developmentally appropriate, and encourage their eagerness to learn, right? Um, where are they? You need to determine, are they ready to learn this stuff yet? Is this something that's going to make an impact on them? Do they understand what this means? So, are they ready to learn the skill that you're going to teach them? Attention span. Some people have, time to attend to things. Some people do not, right? If you are in a classroom that is organized and inviting and there aren't a lot of distractions, children will focus on the task that they're supposed to do and extend their attention span. If there's a lot of stuff going on, if it's disorganized and chaotic and there's distractions, kids aren't going to be able to focus on what they need to do. Imitation is the key to learning new skills. As I've said long forever, we need to be good models, right? In all ways. Helping a child imitate a skill is important, and you have to do it in a way that makes it fun and it's positive, right? Perceptual motor skills is a sensory messages, sensory things. So how do we help them use their senses for learning? What are things that we need to do with children to help them engage their senses, right? Sometimes it is a child who has a sensory integration issue may not be able to listen and look at the same time. And so one thing that you can do to remind them to listen is, this is an actual program. Children have, like, teachers draw a big ear and cut it out and hold it up so that the children remember, oh, I need to be using my ears. I need to be listening now. Or sometimes, in order to focus on whatever they're trying to look at or read, a pair of glasses that don't have lenses in them, because it gives them a frame, like what you can see in there is where you need to focus. So these are things that you can use to help children, right? Hand-eye coordination, all of those buttoning things and zipping and little pieces, all of those are important to build up the muscles and the range of use in your hands and wrists and fingers, because those are things that you need for self-care, right? You need to be able to button your shirt. You need to be able to tie your shoes or zip your coat or whatever. Okay. How we form concepts or schema, the way that we understand the world around us. We do things in likeness and difference. We discriminate. So, oh, that's like that. That's not like that. This ball is round. This block is square. They're different, right? Classification, imposing order. I'm putting all the red things over here. I'm putting all the blue things over here. Seriation. I'm putting the biggest to the smallest, or, you know, and then spatial and temporal relationships. This is above this. This is below this. This is behind, right? Learning all of those concepts is really important to future learning, right? Okay. Long-term memory is things that happened a long time ago. Short-term memory is things that happened just recently. You can't learn if you don't remember. So how do you work on those memory skills? One thing is having children reflect on what has happened. So at the end of the day, talking about what happened today. What did we do? It puts words to those events and it helps children reflect. Another way of encouraging those memory skills is to post pictures in your classroom of things that you've done, right? So children reflect and remember, oh, that was when we did this, right? Following directions. Children do best when directions are clear. We've talked about this before. Use your walking feet doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to all kids. So in our classroom, we walk slowly. We don't run, right? One direction at a time is always important. And you need to get down to the level where they can focus on you to give those directions. Emergent literacy. Again, if you don't know this by now, like for all children, but especially for children who are having language development issues, speech development, right? Talking and using big words, interesting words, new words, storybook reading, phonological awareness activities. A says A, whatever. Talking about the sounds that letters make, and then alphabet activities, showing them what they are. How do you do this? Make sure you have enough books in your classroom for everybody to read. Encourage them to engage with books, right? Encourage them to write, even if they're not writing anything that makes any sense. They're having hand-eye coordination skill development. They're having small motor skill development, right? These are all things that they should be practicing. And then sharing how books work, right? And then thinking about what are the things that our kids are interested in? How do you incorporate that into your classroom? Grouping children by age, by ability. Groups should change as skill levels change. So some kids are going to get reading and they're going to move to a different group. Some kids you're going to have to work harder with. So there you go. How do you do pre-academic group activities? So this is basically your rotation system that you see in a lot of classrooms. Like you're going to go to this station, you're going to go to this station, you're going to go to this station, and you're changing what's happening in each station based on the children that are there. So you might be grouping kids by ability for reading, for instance, or pre-reading. And so when this group is with me, they're going to work on this thing. When this group is with me, they're going to work on letter recognition. When this group is with me, we're going to work on sounding out words. So making sure that everyone is working on something that's important to them, that's useful to them, and that will help them develop more skills. If children are engaged in learning, teachers are happy. Teachers spend more time planning and creating lessons, and lessons are more fun, and children continue to learn when you're doing teacher-directed activities, but you need to make sure that what you're focusing on are things that kids are interested in. Okay? So there you go. That was chapter 17.